Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Excuse the mess in the background, and also if any of you are wondering why I'm wearing a literal turtleneck sweater in the dead of summertime, it's because I've been sick for the past few days and I'm feeling a lot better today, so I wanted to kind of get myself ready, make a video, because sometimes that's all I need to do to feel better at the end of a sickness. It's I've been laying in bed for days and I just need to shower, put on some nice clothes, do my hair, I don't know, it just makes you feel better. So I did that, but I'm still really cold, so hence the sweater. Now that that's out of the way, today I wanted to talk a little about being in tune with your body and really listening to your body when it comes to stressful situations or decisions that you're trying to make. I feel a lot of times in life we really consider our emotional state when it comes to making decisions, which is of course important as well. It's really important to listen to your feelings and your emotions, and I kind of disagree with that statement that's oh, we're emotional people, we should base everything off of logic. I kind of lay right in the middle. I'm very logical and I do consider everything super logically when I make a decision, but I also do not like to ignore my feelings and emotions because you feel how you feel and it's important to listen to that as well. But something that I think is even more important than your emotions is your physical reactions to things. And when I was debating whether or not to quit my job and I was in my 9-to-5, I had a lot of physical reactions the last 3 months that I was at the job that made it extremely obvious to me that it was time for me to leave. So today I'm going to be talking about the 8 things that my body did to show me that it was time to leave my job. So the first one I'm going to start with is very obvious, and these are in no particular order. I was not able to sleep well. I had a really bad quality of sleep. I could not easily fall asleep at night. I had a really hard time just laying down and going to bed. If you haven't seen any of my other recent videos about quitting my 9-to-5, I have talked a lot about my sleep, and that was definitely the biggest obvious factor to me that said, Paige, there's something wrong here. You need to do something. You got to change something, because I was taking sleeping pills every single night because without them I would be up until 3 or 4 a.m. because I was so stressed about my job that I just couldn't turn off the thoughts at the end of the night to be able to easily calm down and go to bed. So that was the very obvious factor to me that, okay, something's wrong. I'm way too stressed about this job. And this could be a whole separate point in itself, but I'm going to include it here with sleep because it's connected to it. I was grinding my teeth at night every single night. I would wake up in the middle of the night with my jaw clenched so hard that it would literally be in pain. I do have a history of grinding my teeth, so it's not like this was something completely new for me to an extent, but when I went to the dentist, actually, it was the first time they ever said, your teeth are severely cracking. You need to get a mouth guard right now or your teeth are gonna split and crack. I've had my dentist tell me for years, oh, it looks like you might be grinding your teeth a little bit. You might be clenching your jaw at night, which I knew I did, but I had never been to this point where they literally showed me photos of my teeth crack, and I also would wake up to the sound of my teeth grinding. I would wake myself up. So it was definitely worse than it's ever been, which honestly to me a very good indicator that it's time to make a change with something is if something that had been a problem for you but a small problem that is now much larger problem, something changed to make it a much larger problem. So thinking through okay, what has changed since this problem got worse is a really good way to consider if this new physical issue you're having and the way your body is reacting is telling you something. So to kind of continue with this trend that I'm going through, the second thing that was really obvious to me was I had daily headaches. Almost every single morning I would wake up with a headache and it would stay for most of the day. I was trying to take medication to help my headaches, but those can actually give you stomach ulcers on their own. So I was really trying to not take any NSAIDs like Aleve, or I think ibuprofen is another one that is an NSAID. And I was trying not to take these because they upset my stomach and I've had ulcers in the past, so I didn't want to give myself an ulcer again. I was taking any medication that I could to help the headache, but I also didn't want to be taking medication every single day. So I had the headaches, couldn't get them to go away. Medication worked somewhat, but not a lot. But the reason I'm putting this next in the list is because I really think it was connected to my teeth grinding. I think I was grinding my teeth at night, which was making me clench my jaw, which was giving me tension headaches. So it was really all connected when I think back and really think through what was going on. And the third way that my body physically told me it was time to make a change was that my heart was racing every single day. And a lot of this, again, is kind of connected to the sleep because my heart would start racing basically at the end of the day after I finished work. If I wasn't sitting at my computer working, my heart was racing and I could not calm it down. I tried everything to get it to calm down. But my problem was, which again, you've seen my previous videos talking about my sleep habits and trying to improve the quality of my sleep. The problem was that if I didn't drink caffeine, then I felt dead. But if I drank caffeine, then it gave me a lot of anxiety and my heart was racing and all of these other things. So I was kind of in this vicious cycle, like I've talked about in my previous videos, where I couldn't sleep at night, so I would take sleeping pills. Then I would wake up in the morning, be really groggy. I would need caffeine to get myself going, and then the caffeine would make my heart race. So it was just this vicious cycle I was in that, you know, I tried to break out of a few times while I was working my 9-to-5 job still, but I just could not get myself out of this cycle. I pretty much tried everything that I discussed in my previous video about how to fix your sleep habits, but the issue was that the root cause was the job. And you can do whatever you want to quick fix things and try to solve problems that you have in your life, but at the end of the day, the root cause is really the most important factor to solving any problem, whether emotional or physical, and I will always stand by that for sure. The next way my body was physically trying to tell me it was time to make a change is I was feeling nauseous every single day. So nausea was something that I dealt with a lot as a child. When I went through my why I quit my 9-to-5, I talked a little bit about my past and my family history a little bit, but I always got nauseous growing up. After my dad left my family, I was nauseous almost every single morning when I would get to school. I frequently would go to the clinic and say, hey, I'm nauseous, I'm sick, whatever. And I was too young to understand that my nausea was linked to like the anxiety and stress I was feeling from what was going on at home. And looking back, it's so obvious, and it's something that stuck with me through my entire life. Anytime I'm stressed or anxious, I get really nauseous. And you know, this is okay to an extent. Of course, like if I have a big test coming up or like my first day of work, of course I'm gonna be stressed or anxious and feel some type of nausea inside. But when it came to working my 9-to-5 job, this was supposed to just be a daily part of my life, and I didn't want to feel nauseous all day, every day. That doesn't make any sense at all, and there's just no reason for that. So the next one is pretty much linked to everything else and, you know, comes with just stress in general, but my immune system was extremely low. I could not fight anything off. I was constantly getting colds, getting flus, getting fevers. I was literally getting everything and anything I could get. I would just keep getting sick. And the frustrating part about this is that I had to consistently use my PTO for sick time. And the way my company did it was that vacation and sick time were all included into PTO. I know a lot of other companies are doing it this way now, but I barely ever got to just take a vacation because I was constantly using that time for being sick. And in my past, throughout my life, anytime I'm going through something stressful, like anytime I've moved apartments or when I first went to college or literally any big change in my life, my immune system has then suffered from like the stress I'm feeling, and then I would constantly get sick. But where I draw the line is when it's just supposed to be my daily life. So if I'm supposed to just be doing this for technically the rest of my life, like working this job, if I don't make a change, I would be continuously working this job. If that's affecting my immune system, then something has to change because I can't work a job that just makes me get sick all the time. So the next item was my period. Now, if you're not a female, apologies, but this is very helpful for anyone who's female to consider this whenever they're trying to decide whether or not to quit their job. I'm sure you've already heard when you're stressed, your period can come late. Well, if you consistently track your period like I do, I track it using an app called Kindara. I first noticed when it was almost a week late, and I think it ended up not coming until it had been almost 2 weeks late. It was to the point where I thought like, okay, I have to be pregnant because like what else is going on? I took a pregnancy test. I was not pregnant. And finally, the day that I put my notice in at my job, I got my period that night. It was almost like the stress had been relieved from me, and my body was like, okay, you don't need to be in fight or flight anymore. Like the problem has been solved. Give this girl her period. So it was very clear to me, which was actually a really nice indicator that like I made the right decision, because I was still really nervous about the decision either way. But this was something for me that made it very, very clear something was wrong, because I usually always get my period. My cycle is exactly 26 days. It had been for months and months before this. And then suddenly it was literally like 35 days later, still hadn't had my period. And I was like, what is going on? And lastly, I'm going to end with one that is technically physical, but it also has to do with the brain. So it's a little bit different, but I couldn't think straight at all. Like at all. I would lose my train of thought multiple times a day, and that is not like me at all. And ever since I've left my job now, this has only been happening like once a week, and it just improved over time since I left my job. But the last few weeks before I put in my notice, I would literally be talking on the phone with someone or in a meeting, and I would just completely blank. Like my mind would be like, oh yeah, so today I wanted to ask you, and then I would have no idea what I was gonna say. And it happened in my work life, it happened in my personal life, and I was honestly just like sick of that, because that is just It is the most frustrating thing to always feel like you're someone who's on top of things, and then suddenly there's like nothing you can do to control the fact that you have no idea what you were trying to say. Like, it is so annoying. And I would try to like prepare notes, whatever. Like, I did things to try to mitigate it, but it still just would happen. Like, even with pointless things, like someone asks, how was your weekend? And I'm mid-sentence telling them how my weekend was, and I just completely blank and lose my train of thought. And the most frustrating part for this was actually nothing to do with how it affected my job, but it was really how it affected my personal relationships. I couldn't stay on topic for any conversations with people, and I couldn't just focus. Like, I couldn't focus and genuinely listen to someone while they were telling me something. I couldn't be there for any of my friends or family because I just wasn't mentally there. And that was extremely frustrating for me because that's probably one of my like key components of my personality, and something I really enjoy is being there for other people and supporting them. And it makes sense that, you know, I was not okay myself, so of course I was not able to support anyone else, but it was a very frustrating part of it that was obvious to me looking back that was a problem. So I kind of went out of order than I initially planned, so I realized that I missed one topic that I wanted to discuss, and this was completely new for me, but a very obvious one as well. My hair fell out more than I've ever lost hair in my entire life. I was cleaning hair off my bathroom floor every single day. In my shower, every time I showered, I had a huge clump of hair that I had to pull out of the shower from the hair that I lost from just washing my hair. And I was really careful. Like, I brushed my hair super slowly. I showered very gently. I wasn't like thrashing around with my hair. I was literally probably losing at least 5 times as much hair as I was used to losing. And no matter what I did, there was just like hair everywhere. And I knew that it was losing hair from stress. Like, there's no other explanation for it. Nothing else had changed. So this was another very obvious physical thing that happened to me where I was like, yep, something has to change. But I think I've covered all of them now. I'm sure there was other small physical things that happened that made it clear to me something had to change, but these were the biggest, most prevalent ones that I was talking about and trying to figure out when I was going through this. If you're dealing with any of these, just know that you are not alone in this, and it is very normal to an extent to have these things happen when you're feeling a lot of stress. But the thing to remember is that any quick fix you do isn't going to solve the root cause. Like I talked about before, there's always a root cause for things, and I really tried every way that I could to solve other root causes that I thought might be the reason why I was feeling this way. And I encourage you to do the same. If you're really considering leaving your job and you think that might be the problem, but you haven't tested out anything else, I think it's going to be a lot more stressful for you to actually leave the job. It's much more likely that you're going to be worried about whether or not it's the right decision. You're going to be debating if this is what you should do, and then you're potentially going to feel regret afterwards if things don't go as planned. But if you've exhausted every other option, if you have tried solving any of the other things that you think could be linked to why you're feeling so stressed, you know, I tried multiple things. I moved to a bigger apartment 2 different times because we were working from home. I tried adjusting my work schedule. Like, I worked with my company to try to change my work schedule up and have it be a bit more flexible so that it worked better for me. I tried discussing it with my company in general to tell them what the issue was and like if there was ways we could solve it. And I tried finding ways to find fulfillment outside of my daily work. I literally tried everything that I could think of that was like a potential root cause, and none of them solved the problem. So once I finally decided to leave my job, I knew without a doubt that this was the only option left. And if this doesn't work, then I probably need to seek professional help and figure out what to do from there. But in hindsight, now that I'm past that and I've already made the decision, that was definitely the root cause. And I feel so much better. And all of the symptoms I've listed, half of them are gone, and the other half have been slowly improving ever since I actually even put my notice in. And even more since I had my last day of work. So if you're struggling with this, again, just know you're not alone. And if you ever want to just chat about this, of course, I should have prefaced all of this by saying I'm not a medical professional. No way to tell you whether or not any of this stuff is actually a problem. There could be other underlying medical conditions or mental health problems that could be causing these issues for you. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. And just remember that my DMs are always open on Instagram. Definitely reach out to me there if you're struggling with any of this. I would love to just listen to what you're going through and potentially just be someone who can, you know, understand what you're going through. When I was dealing with this, there was not a lot of people in my life who understood. And, you know, my friends were very supportive. My family was very supportive in the end, but it was really hard for them to understand if they hadn't gone through it themselves. So if you need someone to listen and to just, you know, bounce ideas off of, then please DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to help you guys out there. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later this week with another video. Bye.